Hello everyone, and welcome back to more of Gamefest. Okay, last time DOSBox crashed embarrassingly after I tried to play Ken's Labyrinth. Well, I did a bit of looking into it, and it turns out this is a known problem. It is a known issue with emulating Ken's Labyrinth in DOSBox. If you go to the DOSBox site where you can see compatibility reports information for various DOS games, you'll see that this is a known issue, and there is in fact a fix on the I believe it's the official, or about as official as such a site gets, the pretty much official site for the game. You can download a fixed version, which is now freeware. So the game is freeware, and there is a fix which enables it to run in DOSBox properly. I don't know really the technicalities of the problem or why it happens. It does bug me when stuff like that happens because it is obviously an error. It is a problem with the emulation in DOSBox, since I remember playing this very same copy of the game on my old 486, and it did run correctly. So it's not technically a bug in the game. It's really more a bug in how DOSBox emulates the game, since a real 486 was able to run the game properly. So obviously DOSBox isn't emulating things perfectly, but whatever. So anyway, I downloaded the copy of the game from the website and extracted it and put it into a folder called Ken's Lab. And let's see, let's go ahead and run setup again, and I'll try this weird quirky graphics mode, which is only slightly higher than the standard VGA resolution. I don't know why they even put that into the game, but I thought at first it might be a problem with the sound card IRQ, because you do sometimes have those problems with IRQs being either 5 or 7, because of course that was one of the big problems with playing DOS games back in the day, is getting the IRQ of your sound card right, because the initial Sound Blasters were IRQ 7, and then they later moved that to IRQ 5. I guess because IRQ 7 conflicted with the parallel port. Which wasn't at first a problem very much, because not many people printed from games that played sound, but I guess it was enough of a problem that they finally decided to move the sound card to IRQ 5, which it was for, I believe, all later Sound Blaster models by default, although you could change it. But no, it doesn't appear to be a problem just with the IRQ. It's actually a problem with the emulation in the game. So let's go ahead and try setting this up again, and hopefully this time we can get it to work properly. So there are two exe files here. The basic one is called just Ken, and then you can see there's a much newer one, about a 15 years newer one called Ken SB Fix. And you want to run that. You want to run Ken SB Fix, because this fixes the SB of Ken. And the game is loading. Ken's Labyrinth. And because this is the full version, you get this nice little intro sort of screen. I don't think this was in the freeware shareware version. I think this was only in this full version of the game. So, okay, can we? All right, here we go. Ken's Labyrinth. So there's Ken Silverman. He looks and sounds so young in this game. I guess he was. He must have been pretty young when this game was made. He's kind of one of those. He reminds me a lot of John Carmack, because they're both guys who made 3D engines from a young age, and kind of got famous for it. The difference, of course, being that John Carmack is still making 3D engines today, and Ken Silverman, I actually don't know what he's doing now. I haven't heard from him. I should look him up. Sometimes I get curious about what these people are doing today. Are they still in the games business, or did they get into another business? Anyway, let's try this again. So yeah, Floor 1, Volume 1. So you start off with no weapons, but that's not really a problem, because you can pick up that thing right there. That is a weapon. It's this sort of jelly blob that I'm shooting now. You have unlimited ammunition. Picking up more weapons just increases how fast you can shoot, but it doesn't. You're not limited in how many shots you can fire. You have unlimited shots. Let me actually speed up DOSBox a bit, since there we go. Now it's quite fast. There we go. Now we're really smooth scrolling here. There is a nice map there here at the beginning, and it even updates your position in real time. If you look in the lower left, you can see there's a flashing dot there, kind of green, alternating between green and purple dot there. That actually shows my current location, and it actually moves when I move. It's not very helpful because you can't see it once you get out of that room, but yeah. There's also a picture of the United States on the walls here. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's the map room. And so you have this map and then you have that map. I guess there's a correlation there maybe. Here is a drinking fountain, which you can use to replenish your health, just like in Duke Nukem 3D. And this game is obviously not as technically advanced as Duke Nukem 3D. It's pretty much on the same... It's pretty much on a par with Wolfenstein 3D in terms of level of development, level of technology, and how fancy it is. All the walls are orthogonal. I don't think you can have walls that are not at 90-degree angles to each other. But this game does have some interesting features which Wolfenstein didn't have. Like, for example, here's a soda machine which you can use to buy drinks from that will replenish your health with money that you pick up. There is also stuff like, this is a slot machine. You can put money in here and see if... Oh, I got 2 coins back. I actually won 2 coins from that gamble. There is some artifacting that I'm seeing at the top of the screen there for some reason. I don't normally see that. I wonder if that's showing up because I sped up the game. Let me try slowing it down just a little bit. Maybe that'll help. So yeah, the game is... It certainly never was as successful or as popular as Wolfenstein 3D. I think it sort of has something to do with the level of those fans hurt you if you walk into them like that, so try to avoid walking into them. This gate appears to be closed. You can't press spacebar to open it, but you can shoot it, and shooting it enables you to walk through it. Same story here, I believe. Yeah, kind of a... Oh, you have to shoot it twice. Kind of a secret wall, but instead of just having to press the open button, you have to actually shoot it to open it. This wall only opens when you have 10 coins, I guess. So yeah, you can see it's basically, it's a first-person shooter. It's not that much different from other first-person shooters. If you look at the help, I think there are some keys. Yeah, for some reason this uses right control to strafe, which is quite annoying to me. I think you can reconfigure the keys. Not in the game, but in the setup program, if I remember right. Also, that thing, stand high low, A and Z or Z, that is something which I haven't seen in any other game. Basically, if you hold A, it makes you stand up tall and brings you up to the ceiling like this, and if you hold down Z or Z, it makes you kind of crouch down to the floor, and you can adjust your height as you wish. I don't think there's any advantage to this. I never found any advantage to doing that whatsoever. I think it's just a perspective thing. I think it's just kind of a matter of personal taste if you want to stand high like that or stand closer to the ground like that. I don't know, personally I prefer somewhere in between. I think most people will prefer somewhere in between, but... Oh, here's a robot, and we killed that. And we don't have the silver key for that door, but we can walk through here, and here's the exit.
Nice job.
Thank you. That was the first level, and here's the second level, Bat Cave. I think there are bats in this level. Yes, there's one right there. There's another one. So yeah, I do really like this game. It does feel in many ways like more like a tech demo than a proper game. But that was true for a lot of games back then, and not only back then, but even today it's true for a lot of games. A lot of games are made more for the purpose of showing off some fancy graphics engine than actually making a game that's interesting to play. Shoot this wall. Okay. I don't have a key for that. Yeah, it kind of strikes me as I play this game. It's sort of a childhood fantasy. I mean, there are many... I mean, you're shooting blobs of jelly instead of firing guns or rockets or things like that. And your enemies are, you know, all these spiders and bats and other stranger creatures than that. It strikes me as more of like a childish fantasy world than the setting of most first-person shooters, which is usually either a war setting or some kind of horror setting. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not bad to have these childish fantasies, but it strikes me as very interesting that if you think about it, most of Epic's early games were like this, because Cliff Bleszinski, too, I mean, he got famous, or I don't know if you could really call him famous at that point, but he sort of established a reputation on the I think it was called Dragon's Plight, that early set of Windows adventures about that cute little dragon who goes into sort of a fantasy adventure. And there was also Dare to Dream. Remember Dare to Dream? That was kind of something similar. That was a game about a child's dreams, like what they experienced as they were dreaming. And this is really very much in contrast to the games that Apogee and id tended to make, which were much grittier, much more violent, much more focused on, gun violence. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm not one of those people who's terribly opposed to violence in video games. I don't think that you're going to grow up to be a mass murderer if you play Doom or something like that. But the style of the two companies is very very sort of contrasted that way, because Epic tended to make games that were a little more gentle and a little more fanciful, and then id was always going for the really kind of the gory option, which of course meant that id was more popular in the long run in terms of a business that was in the business of making and selling computer games. Anyway, yeah, we have more bats to shoot here. Obviously, I could go on for quite a while playing this game, but I think we've seen the idea, so I'll go ahead and quit out of that. And that was Kin's Labyrinth. Very nice game. I do like that game. Again, it's a little bit unfortunate that for whatever reason DOSBox doesn't emulate the original version, but hey, I guess it doesn't really matter too much, since it seems to be a problem limited to that one game, and there is now a fixed version that you can download online for free. So, Kin's Labyrinth. All right, let's go back to the menu program, and that's Kin's Labyrinth. The next game will be Llamatron. It's in Sophomore 9 Pro 15. Sophomore 9 Pro 15. There better be some documentation accompanying this one. Let's see if I do. Llamatron version 1.0. Crazy type arcade game with Sound Blaster support. Get ready for this one, and I hope you like sheep. Is there really no further documentation? I don't see any, unless I'm just missing the file that I should be reading. Yeah, it looks like these are all data files. None of them are human readable text files. All right, well, this is a game from Jeff Minter, whose name some of you might recognize. Mr. Minter has really made a reputation for himself throughout the years, mainly from making really very colorful and very fast-paced, very arcade-style shoot-'em-ups, typically involving animals like llamas and other types of animals like that. And this one is no exception. It is Llamatron. It is a clone of Robotron, except with llamas and stuff like that instead of robots. So if you just run the game, I think it runs without sound. We should probably run install to configure it. I don't need to install it on a hard drive, but I do want to change the options. So let's see, I guess drive C. Let's see, turn physics color VGA normal is fine. I guess it's nice that you can choose no screen flashes or pulsing. I don't know if that's meant for people with epilepsy or just people who might get annoyed at the screen flashing too much, but I'll go ahead and choose normal. I hope that nobody watching this video will have any seizures or anything because of this game. There is a fair amount of it says there at the bottom, flashing pulsing causes erratic play speed on some video cards. Okay. I hope that nobody's going to be too bothered by the flashing, because there is a fair amount of flashing in this game. No, I don't have a joystick, so let's use the keyboard. So basically arrow keys to move. I don't know why it says space to fire, because you fire automatically in this game anyway. Yes, certainly Sound Blaster. We do want the Sound Blaster. And, in the registered version you can get the 386 version, but in this version you can only get the game that runs going all the way back to the 8088. Wow. Pretty good. Okay, installation complete. All right, let's go ahead and run Llamatron. Let's get ready for some excitement. Yeah, Llamatron 2112, PC release 1.0. I believe, is there an address somewhere here? Just looking for, there's an address in the UK there. That's interesting, because if I remember right, Llamasoft and Jeff Minter, who goes up by the name Yak, as you can see in the lower right there. I believe he's based in Australia, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I thought he was Australian, but okay. Anyway, let's get into the game. So here's the story. 8086 PC version, blah, blah, blah. Some text that's going by too fast for me to read it, even if I wanted to. Press P to pause the game. That's probably kind of important. And there are some other keys there that I didn't read, and something about hot bullets and last and hearts and game makes and good luck. Whoa. Again, that's very loud in my ears because I'm wearing headphones, but I think that will probably be quieter in the video because I have the sound turned down for the video. So you can choose between, using the arrow keys, you can choose between one-player game with a droid, which means you have a computer-controlled droid that fights with you, or a team game. I'll go with, since I'm alone, I'll play with the droid. Let's see, I think you press... Whoop. There we go, spacebar starts. So the goal here is very simple. You have to collect those animals, and you have to shoot the enemies. Actually, you don't have to collect the animals, that's optional. The one thing you do have to do is shoot all the enemies that are on the screen. Very important that you do that, because that's the only way that you can get to the next level. The only thing that will take you to the next level is shooting all the enemies on the screen. The game is very fast. If you've ever played the original Robotron that this is based on, you will know it is a very fast-paced game, as were many arcade games of the day. And this game is certainly very fast as well. It's basically it's another PC clone of a classic arcade game, but I think this might be a little bit faster than... I think these red things are the hot bullets that I was promised. So named because they really cut through enemies like a knife through hot butter. And that red thing that I just picked up was a smart bomb, which immediately destroys all the enemies on the screen, or most of the enemies on the screen. So now we're shooting up joysticks, and you have to be careful of those brains, because those brains turn the animals that you're trying to collect into terrible zombie animals, and then... and that thing that I just picked up there was an extra life. Oh, oh, wow. I was going to say that that thing that looks like a fractal, a Mandelbrot fractal. Oh, those are zombies whom you can't kill, you just have to avoid them. That thing which looks like a Mandelbrot fractal makes a terrible noise when you shoot it. It really makes like the most abominable noise I've ever heard in any video game ever. It really sounds like somebody horribly screaming their lungs out. I'm not even joking. It really sounds obnoxious. But we didn't hear it because the sounds were drowned out by all the other sounds that the game is making. And am I supposed to catch that umbrella? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the level usually ends once you destroy all the enemies, but the raindrops in that level counted as enemies, and so that was preventing the level from ending. This is a very loud game. I can barely hear myself talking over the sounds of the game. Oh, for some reason I thought those cherries were a power-up, even though they were actually the thing I was supposed to be destroying in this level. Crazy stuff. And those are ricocheting bullets I picked up. Yeah, there are a lot of different power-ups in this game. Now we're shooting up telephones, because telephones are obviously very dangerous to animals. And those purple blob things will kill you if you touch them. I mean, pretty much anything in this game will kill you if you touch it, unless it's an animal. Yeah. And that laser you have to avoid. I don't think you can destroy that laser, you just have to avoid it and try hard not to touch it. And I don't even know what killed me there, because I didn't think that I touched something, but maybe I did without realizing it. And that thing at the top, that huge weight, will crush you if it lands on you, so do try to avoid standing underneath it. I don't think you can destroy it, you just have to avoid it. You can quickly walk underneath it, but don't stay underneath it for too long, because it will kill you quite quickly. On those stupid green spike things, shoot out spikes diagonally. Yeah, the game does have continues, as did many other games that were based on arcade games. So if you lose all your lives, the game doesn't necessarily end, but you do have an endless... Oh, wow. That horrible noise was the sound that I was talking about, the sound that Mandelbrot fractal makes when you shoot it. And I started talking like a French person because Mandelbrot, as far as I know, is a French name. At least it looks like a French name. I should probably quit this game because I've actually been already spending a long time making this video, and I've only showed off 2 games so far. I want to show a couple more games before I end the video, but this has been Llamatron. Llamatron 2112. Very fast. How do I quit? How do I quit out of Llamatron? Oh, Control Q quits. All right. I would have loved to play that game some more because it is a very fun game, but wow, it is very loud, very fast, and I should probably probably move on. But good game. I give it a seal of approval, even though it is basically a PC clone of classic arcade games. So, Llamatron. All right, the next game is Major Stryker. This is an Apogee vertical scrolling shooter. Sophomore 7 Pro 10. I'm still kind of bummed about that Ken's Labyrinth thing. I can't believe that I never played. I must have never played the game in DOSBox. I must have just, over all the years, I never thought to play it in DOSBox and find out that it doesn't play properly in DOSBox. So it's kind of unfortunate. So now I have a quandary. Do I run Major.exe or do I run Stryker.exe? I'm gonna just randomly pick Major. Okay, I guess maybe that was the right thing to do. I'm not sure. And yes, like I said, it is an Apogee game. Am I missing sound? The game said that Sound Blaster and AdLib were detected, but for some reason I'm not hearing anything. There should be music already at this point. Do I need to turn it on, maybe? Hold on. Game options, toggle music. Oh, the music was off by default. Well, that's strange. What about sound? And it defaults to PC sound, even if it detects Sound Blaster. That's also a very strange choice. All right. Let's go ahead and I guess we can just, well, hold on, let's read the story first. Let's go ahead and just quickly go through the story. And again, I'm not going to read it, but for anyone who wants to read it, you can certainly do so. So that was the story, and then these are the instructions. That face that you see, that you just saw up there at the top, was some woman's face who was basically the main reason to play the game. Well, I mean, okay, that's not necessarily true. The game itself is actually not bad. Let's just start the game and we'll see what kind of game it is. I believe these bottom two options are for the registered version. The top version, the top option is the only one available in this shareware version of the game. Hold on, let me try. Yeah, these are from the registered version. So this is the shareware level. I'll play as a beginner because I am terrible at games in general. We take off from a planet that looks like Earth and fly into, I guess that's a wormhole, and teleport into somewhere else. Oh, those are the 3 planets that form the 3 episodes of the game. So we fly to the first one, and there we go. There's that woman who basically introduces you to every new area of the game, and she was the main reason why I actually finished this game when I was a kid, which just goes to show you how motivated people can be by the silliest possible suggestion of sex or romance or anything like that, because she's really nothing more than a brown polygon with some blue coloring at the top. I mean, there's really nothing to her, but for some reason I thought she was alluring enough that I actually wanted to see what happens when you win the game, which is really nothing much. Spoiler, there's really nothing much. I mean, there is like a very, very short closing cutscene at the end of the game, which is really not worth it if you're playing the game just for that. But again, the game itself is not bad. The game itself it's a competent little shooter. I wouldn't say it's the best game ever, but it's, I like this music too. You have to press Alt repeatedly to shoot fast, because or you can collect R. Now, once you collect R, that's rapid fire, and now I can shoot rapidly just by holding down Alt until the power-up runs out, which takes something like 30 seconds, I think, or so, roughly. Oh, and that is a weapons power-up, which I definitely want, because that gives me the option to shoot 2 shots at a time, and it also gives me something to protect against dying, because if you have a weapons power-up and you take a hit, you will not die. Instead, you'll just lose the weapons power-up. But if you get hit and you have no weapons power-up, then you explode right away and you lose a life. Collecting that H causes this hover thing to happen, which basically causes the game to stop scrolling for a while, and these enemies to appear, and then you can destroy all the enemies. And I just caught another power-up, which now causes me to shoot 3 shots at a time, which is nice. The next power-up, if I get one, will cause me to shoot not 4 shots at a time, but rather a sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Dispersed shots. Dispersed was the word I was looking for. It causes, okay, we might see that now if I manage to collect that power-up without getting hit first. There we go. And now we shoot in a sort of, not an arc, but I guess a sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Somehow I've suddenly forgotten all my vocabulary. It shoots in sort of a spread, I guess you could say. Oh, and there's yet another weapon power-up, which will allow me to... Yeah, now I shoot out the back as well, so now I can shoot enemies that are behind me. And not only enemies, but also other things that are behind me, which is handy. And I think the next power-up just causes you to shoot out the sides, and then that's it. That's as powered up as your weapons get. And, oh, those are side shields. Those are nice. Those shields will protect me from getting hit. There we go. Yep, now I shoot out the sides. And I think this is it. This is the last level of weapon power-up. I don't think you can get a higher level of weapon power-up than this. S causes your ship to move faster, which is not terribly useful, but I guess it's not bad. It's not really a big deal either way. Normally I don't need to move very fast in this game. That's it. You've already seen most of the power-ups in the game. You've already seen all the different levels of weapons upgrades. It's Major Stryker. This is Major Stryker. It's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. There's a lot of stuff to shoot, and you have unlimited ammunition, so you want to just keep pressing the... whoops. Sorry, my headset... I knocked my headset off my head by accident because I have my headset mounted on my head rather loosely because, once again, I know I keep complaining about these games being very loud, but they are actually quite loud in my ears with the headset that I'm wearing, and so I wasn't actually wearing my headset very firmly. It's Major Stryker. It's a shooter, and it's, in my opinion, a pretty good shooter for DOS, but it's, you know, what you see is what you get. I like this game. I give it my seal of approval, and I wouldn't want to suggest those are spin shields, which I usually don't like to get because they only last for a limited amount of time. The side shield that I have now, this will last until I actually get hit, but the spin shields are time limited, meaning they only last for, what, I don't know exactly how long they last. I think they last, 1 minute or even less, so to me they're not really worth it. I would rather use this because it lasts forever, or until you actually take a hit, until you actually need it. So yeah, it's a shooter. It has lots of things to shoot, and lots of shots that you shoot out, and lots of things that blow up, and lots of things that happen and fly around the screen, and there's a lot of explosions, and there are a lot of a fair number of levels in the game, especially if you get the registered version, because it's a decent game. It's a competently made little shooter from Apogee, and what more can I say? I like it. Oh, there we go. Rapid fire. Rapid fire is quite gratifying because it gets very tiring if you're playing this game for a long period of time. Your finger does, or at least my finger tends to get quite tired of repeatedly tapping the fire button. So it is nice to get rapid fire once in a while, but unfortunately it only lasts for a few seconds. Yeah, it already wore off. So, how long is this first level? If I recall, the first level's not that long. I would like to at least show the end of one level just so you can see what it looks like at the end of a level. I mean, it's nothing very special, it's just the end of the level, but I might as well at least try to show off the first level before I move on to the next game, if I can. Oh, these things. I hate it when these guys advance in a line like that. Oh, I actually managed to destroy them all. That was nice. All right, that was that. That was the first level of Major Stryker, and I got a bonus of something. 10,000 exactly. Well, I wonder if that's good or bad. Kill ratio, oh, not quite 100%. And people saved, even less. Oh, that's a shameful performance, but, oh, there you go. Major Stryker. He looks very tanned. Do I want to save? No, I won't bother since I'm quitting right now. Quit? Yes. That was that. That was Major Stryker. Good game. I like that game. That's a pretty decent game. Like I said, it's a competently made game. Nothing super special, especially by today's standards, but still a fun game. Fun game to play. All right, moving on. Mario VGA. Soft action Mario. Unfortunately, this is not Super Mario Brothers. This is the original Mario Brothers game, which most people don't know. Let's see, can I... Oh, I guess I can browse... If I can type correctly. Mario.doc. Yeah. It's Oh, another game from Dave Sharpless. Isn't that the same gentleman who made Joust VGA? I think it is. Or at least he made some other game which I think we've already seen. So, yes, there we go. Joust registrations. So I started on this game around the time Joust VGA registrations started coming in. Unfortunately, while Joust VGA is a good game, because Joust is a good game, I'm not really too much fond of the original Mario Brothers. I do love Super Mario Brothers, which is the game that most people might be thinking of, which of course is, the game that came with the original NES. But no, I'm not talking about Super Mario Brothers. I'm talking about, well, you'll see. Let's run it. And, let's see. I guess I just press space to start. Let's choose 80 lives. And how do I... There we go. How do I jump? Okay, so just as in Joust, it's Z or Z to go left, X to go right, and then Alt jumps. So yeah, this is not Super Mario Brothers by any means. This is that kind of a game. Basically, you have to jump and hit these things from underneath, and then you knock them off the platform, and that's how you deal with them. And that's it. That's basically the whole game. The whole game is just, whoops. The whole game is basically just bumping these guys from underneath, and then once you've bumped them from underneath, then you, whoops. And the controls are really quite annoying because it's really very slippery. The character slips around quite a lot, so you can't really can't just go running around like in most platform games. You have to actually deal with that momentum that the character has. I'm not terribly fond of this game, to be honest. It's really awkward. The controls are very awkward. The gameplay is very repetitive. I mean, it's basically just knocking these things off the platforms. Pretty much, I mean, the sound is annoying. I usually like games with DOS graphics like this and DOS sound effects, but somehow this one just doesn't resonate with me at all. It just, in my opinion, it controls badly, doesn't look very good, doesn't sound very good, and I guess it's a fairly faithful reproduction of the original Mario Brothers game, which, as if I understand correctly, was really the predecessor to Super Mario Brothers. But Super Mario Brothers is a good game, and this isn't. This is just a boring, just kind of doing this over and over. Not my kind of scene. Oh, here we go. Here we get a bonus level where we can try to pick up all these coins before time runs out, which I probably will fail to do because I'm bad at games. Wow. Ah, man. Yeah, that was it. I ran out of time. So that was that. That is Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers. It's just distinctly unsuper. What can I say? I don't really, honestly, I don't really like this game very much. It's not terrible. It's just not very much fun. I played it for a while and just couldn't get into it. Wasn't my scene at all. So, I could already end the video here, but let's see if we can quickly show off a better game to sort of end on a more positive note. Oh, Megatron. Is this what I think it is? This is, why is it in the Windows folder? I don't think this is a Windows game. Softwin Pro 10. Or Windows directory, as the case may be. I don't think this is a Windows game. Well, let's check mega.doc. Actually, we have a few files here. Megatron VGA from Stanley Design Team. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the game I'm thinking of. I haven't played this game in a long time because it is a two-player game, and I don't usually have people to play games with, and when I do, I don't usually play games like this because it's not a bad game, but what made this game special was that it was a multiplayer DOS game in 1993, which you could play, I believe you could play this over modem, which was something very special. If you were playing games back, yeah, here we go, modem control menu. If you remember games back then, if you were playing DOS games in 1993, being able to compete against other people over modem was something very special. internet protocols were not widely implemented for home computers, and stuff like CompuServe and Prodigy and Genie were expensive. But being able to play, with a friend over a telephone modem link, that was something special. The game which really did this properly, which really did this very well, of course, was VET, Spectrum Holobyte's VET, that car racing game. Excuse me. But this is a much less well-known game, which does pretty well. Let's see, while we're here, let's check quickly what's notice.txt. Actually, we have a few files to read there. There's also a readme.first. Okay. Oh, notice.txt is just the shareware release. And then what's.new. Okay, this is the version history of the game. That's nice. For some reason, it started with version 6. First public release to 6XX, Megatron to the public. Okay, I don't know. All right, let's see. How do we actually run the game? Okay, just run Megatron. I guess that makes sense. Copyright 1993, Stanley Design Team. Okay, and there's some nice sort of ad-lib music that's playing. Music's not bad. I don't think there's any music in the actual game, though. I think the music just plays here on the title screen. So, let's see. Okay, you can choose to play as the Vulture or as the Mad Cat. What's the difference, I wonder? I don't know. Let's play as the... I don't know. Okay, Vulture. Why not? I like cats, but I just chose the Vulture randomly. So here's the game. You walk around this maze, and you can see, obviously, a map of the maze at the bottom of the screen. And your goal is just to find your enemy. I think since I'm not playing against anyone via modem, I think the computer has a computer-controlled enemy that they're controlling, if I remember right. So basically, the challenge here is just to find the computer and beat the stuffing out of them. Or if you are playing by modem against someone else, then to find... Still, the goal is to find them and beat the stuffing out of them, except then you're playing against a human player controlling a computer robot instead of against the computer controlling the computerized robot. So, yeah. Different strokes for different folks, except it's pretty much the same thing, except different in the sense of whom you're playing against. I think... Am I playing against the computer? I thought I was playing against... I thought the default is that you play against the computer unless... Maybe you have to explicitly choose to play against the computer, in which case I'm just wandering around this maze by myself with absolutely no objective, but I don't think that's the case. I don't remember very well now. I haven't played this game in a very long time, and I remember it just because, again, modem play was... It was something very special back then. Today, multiplayer games are everywhere. I mean, there's certainly nothing new. But back then, let me tell you, this was something quite special. And it is a pretty good looking game too, because it does have 256 color VGA graphics, and the resolution is quite high and quite snappy. So in terms of technical presentation, this is a good game. It's just in terms of gameplay, it's fairly middling. I mean, it's not really anything. Do I have to hold on? Seriously, how do I? How do I... What's this up here? Do I... I think this is where you can type to each other. You can type messages to each other and stuff like that. Computer-generated adversary. Let's play difficulty level Novice. Oh, I think I had to do that. I think doing that activated the computer opponent. I think now the computer opponent is actually roving around and looking for me. All right. Should I... Oh, there we go. Oh, that's right. You get little pings occasionally. Occasionally you can see little pings which tell you where your enemy is right now. I don't know if you can do those pings manually. I think you just have to wait for them to happen. But okay. Oh, he's getting close. Oh, I can hear him. Let's see if we can wait here and... Oh dear. Now the question is, how do I shoot? Okay. I didn't look at the instructions, and so I don't remember how to actually shoot. That's bad, because... okay, I think I'm shooting him. Yeah, I'm definitely shooting him. I'm just clicking on this thing here. Oh, there we go. You're the winner. The glory of victory is yours. Now using PC sound system. Oh, I think that was something else the game did. it encourages you to register the game by turning off Sound Blaster sound after the first round of the game, because PC speaker sound is so annoying that I would certainly want to register this game just to get rid of that PC speaker sound and keep playing with the Sound Blaster. Are you sure? Well, I don't know, but I said yes anyway. There you go. Megatron is the first commercial quality modem combat simulator that is distributed as shareware. That might actually be the case. Yeah, it features advanced SVGA. Yes, not just plain SVGA, not just plain VGA, but actually Super VGA. The graphics are quite decent, I have to say, and in pretty much every way, this is a decently made game. I was quite impressed by it. But you know, if you don't have somebody to play against, then it probably isn't anything to write home about. And actually, even if you do have someone to play against, it's probably the kind of game that you play a few times and then get tired of. But still, yeah, not a bad game at all. I actually quite like that. It was at least as a computer program, if not as a game, it was definitely something very well made, in my opinion. And to me, computer games are computer programs, and I am sometimes impressed by a game that does well as a program, even if it's not necessarily fun to play as a game. It's not necessarily something that I would play as a game if it's not fun as a game, but there are some games like that one which, you know, they don't really strike you to your core as an entertainment experience, but just as a programming feat, as the act of somebody actually making a computer program did something pretty impressive, especially for its time. So that was that. Thank you for watching, everyone. I think I'll stop the video here. I think that's enough for now. So I hope that you enjoyed. Thanks for coming along with me as previously for this exploration of various DOS shareware and freeware gems and not so gems. And we will hopefully see each other next time with more DOS games from the Gamefest CD. So again, thanks for watching, everyone, and I am signing off for now.